Another day, another story. The phrase, 7 deadly sins, refers to a traditional list of vices or immoral behaviors that have been widely recognized in various religious and cultural traditions. The concept originated in early Christian teachings, and the sins are often considered to be destructive and lead to damnation if not repented. The 7 deadly sins are: Welcome to Taboo Eminent Channel. Lust, excessive desire for sexual pleasure or indulgence. Gluttony, overindulgence or overconsumption of food, drink, or wealth. Greed, avarice, excessive desire for material wealth or possessions. Sloth, laziness, apathy, or neglect of one's responsibilities. Wrath, anger, intense and uncontrollable feelings of anger and revenge. Envy, jealousy or resentment of others' qualities, success, or possessions. Pride, hubris, excessive belief in one's abilities or status, leading to arrogance. These sins have been used as a moral framework in various religious traditions, literature, and art to highlight the dangers of succumbing to these negative behaviors. The opposite virtues, often referred to as the 7 heavenly virtues, are humility, charity, kindness, patience, chastity, temperance, and diligence. These virtues are considered to counteract the 7 deadly sins and lead to a virtuous and righteous life. 1. Lust, as one of the 7 deadly sins, refers to an intense or excessive desire for sexual pleasure or gratification. It involves a strong craving for physical and often sensual satisfaction, typically outside the bounds of moral or ethical norms. Lust is not merely a natural or healthy attraction to others but becomes problematic when it leads to obsessive and unrestrained behavior that disregards ethical considerations, the well-being of others, or established social norms. In many religious and philosophical traditions, lust is seen as a distortion of healthy sexuality. It's not just about the physical act of sex but also encompasses a mindset that objectifies others and reduces them to mere objects of desire. Unbridled lust can lead to harmful consequences such as exploitation, infidelity, or the objectification of individuals, disregarding their humanity and dignity. Various cultures and belief systems provide guidance on tempering lustful desires through moral and ethical principles. In Christianity, for example, maintaining chastity and adhering to the sanctity of marriage are emphasized to counteract the negative effects of lust. Balancing physical desire with emotional connection and respect for the autonomy and well-being of others is often considered a healthier approach. 2. Gluttony is another of the 7 deadly sins, representing the excessive and unrestrained consumption of food, drink, or wealth. It goes beyond the basic need for sustenance and indulges in overeating or excessive material consumption. Gluttony is often associated with a lack of self-control and an insatiable appetite for pleasure, leading to negative consequences for one's physical health, mental well-being, and sometimes social relationships. Here are a few aspects of gluttony. Overeating. Consuming more food than the body requires for nourishment, often driven by a desire for sensory pleasure rather than genuine hunger. Overindulgence in drink. Excessive consumption of alcoholic beverages, leading to intoxication and potential harm to oneself and others. Material excess. Beyond food and drink, gluttony can also manifest as the insatiable pursuit of material possessions or wealth, accumulating more than necessary at the expense of other values. The concept of gluttony is present in various religious and philosophical traditions as a warning against excess and the negative consequences of unrestrained appetites. It serves as a reminder to practice moderation, gratitude, and self-discipline in the face of abundance. Balancing the enjoyment of life's pleasures with a mindful and responsible approach to consumption is often encouraged as an antidote to gluttonous behavior. 3. Greed, also known as avarice, is another of the 7 deadly sins. It refers to an intense and excessive desire for material wealth, possessions, or power, often at the expense of ethical considerations, empathy, and the well-being of others. Greed goes beyond the natural inclination to acquire what is necessary for a comfortable life and involves an insatiable hunger for more, regardless of the consequences. Here are some key aspects of greed. Excessive accumulation. Greed involves the hoarding and accumulation of wealth or possessions beyond what is necessary for a reasonable and fulfilling life. Exploitation. Greed can lead individuals to exploit others, seeking personal gain without regard for the fair treatment or well-being of those affected. Prioritizing wealth. Greed often involves prioritizing the pursuit of wealth over other important values, such as compassion, justice, or ethical behavior. Inordinate desire for power. In some cases, greed is also associated with an excessive desire for power and control over others. The concept of greed is found in various cultural, religious, and philosophical traditions as a cautionary principle. Many belief systems advocate for virtues such as generosity, contentment, and selflessness as antidotes to greed. Practicing gratitude, sharing resources, and recognizing the importance of ethical considerations in decision-making can help mitigate the negative effects of greed. 4. Sloth, as one of the 7 deadly sins, represents a state of laziness, apathy, or neglect of one's responsibilities. It goes beyond mere physical laziness and can manifest as a lack of motivation, indifference, or a failure to engage with the world actively. Sloth is considered a sin because it involves a neglect of one's duties and a failure to use one's talents and abilities to their fullest extent. Here are some key aspects of sloth. Physical inactivity. Sloth often involves a reluctance to engage in physical activities, leading to a sedentary lifestyle and a lack of exercise. Neglect of responsibilities. Sloth is associated with a failure to fulfill one's duties and responsibilities, whether in work, relationships, or other aspects of life. Apathy and indifference. Sloth can manifest as a general lack of interest or enthusiasm for life, resulting in apathy and indifference toward personal growth or the well-being of oneself and others. Procrastination. Procrastination, or the constant postponement of tasks, is a behavior associated with sloth. It can hinder personal and professional development. Addressing sloth involves cultivating a sense of responsibility, actively engaging with life, and making an effort to contribute positively to oneself and the community. Many religious and philosophical traditions emphasize virtues such as diligence, industriousness, and perseverance as antidotes to sloth. Taking initiative, setting goals, and finding purpose in one's actions are essential steps in overcoming the sin of sloth. 5. Wrath, often associated with anger, is one of the 7 deadly sins. It involves intense and uncontrolled feelings of anger, rage, or hatred. Wrath goes beyond the normal and healthy experience of anger, which can serve as a natural response to perceived injustice or wrongdoing. Instead, wrath involves an excessive, destructive, and often irrational expression of anger that can lead to harm, conflict, and negative consequences. Key aspects of wrath include intense anger. Wrath involves an extreme and unbridled form of anger that can cloud judgment and lead to impulsive actions. Hatred and hostility. Wrath often involves harboring intense feelings of hatred and hostility toward individuals or situations. Destructive behavior. Those consumed by wrath may engage in destructive behaviors, such as violence, verbal abuse, or other harmful actions. Lack of self-control. Wrath is characterized by a lack of self-control over one's emotions, leading to actions that may be regrettable in calmer moments. Addressing wrath typically involves learning to manage and channel anger in healthy ways. This may include practicing mindfulness, developing better communication skills, and finding constructive outlets for strong emotions. Many religious and philosophical traditions emphasize virtues such as patience, forgiveness, and self-control as antidotes to the destructive nature of wrath. Cultivating empathy and understanding can also play a crucial role in overcoming this particular deadly sin. 6. Envy is one of the 7 deadly sins, and it refers to a feeling of discontent or resentment aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or success. Envy goes beyond simple admiration and involves a negative and often corrosive emotion that can lead to harmful thoughts and behaviors. Key aspects of envy include jealousy. Envy is closely related to jealousy, where individuals covet what others have and may harbor ill will or resentment toward those who possess what they desire. Comparisons. Envious individuals often engage in constant comparisons with others, focusing on perceived advantages or successes that they lack. Destructive thoughts. Envy can lead to negative thoughts and fantasies, such as a desire to see others fail or lose what they have. Undermining relationships. Envy can strain relationships, as it may lead to feelings of competitiveness or undermine the ability to genuinely celebrate the success of others. Overcoming envy involves cultivating positive qualities such as contentment, gratitude, and self-awareness. Recognizing and appreciating one's own strengths and accomplishments, rather than constantly comparing oneself to others, is crucial. Practicing empathy and learning to genuinely rejoice in the successes of others can help mitigate the destructive effects of envy. Many moral and spiritual traditions advocate for virtues such as kindness, humility, and generosity as antidotes to envy. 7. Pride, also known as hubris, is one of the 7 deadly sins. It involves an excessive and inflated sense of one's own importance, abilities, or achievements, often to the point of arrogance and disdain for others. Pride can manifest as a self-centered and haughty attitude that disregards the contributions and perspectives of others. Key aspects of pride include excessive self-importance. Pride involves an exaggerated belief in one's own abilities, superiority, or worth, often leading to a lack of humility. Disregard for others. Proud individuals may disregard or look down upon others, considering them as inferior or less important. Reluctance to admit fault. Pride can lead to a reluctance to admit mistakes or acknowledge shortcomings, as it may be perceived as a threat to one's self-image. Unwillingness to seek help. Those consumed by pride may be resistant to seeking assistance or advice from others, believing that they should be self-sufficient. Overcoming pride involves cultivating humility, recognizing and appreciating the strengths and perspectives of others, and acknowledging one's own limitations. Many religious and philosophical traditions emphasize the value of humility as a virtue to counteract the negative effects of pride. Building healthy relationships, practicing gratitude, and fostering a sense of interconnectedness with others are essential components of overcoming the sin of pride. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.